LSU goes to Clemson Death Valley. Not what we know in the SEC as Death Valley, but still a hostile atmosphere. What's the tale of this game? Well, it's two of the top 3 quarterbacks in the nation going against each other. You know, if you were to ask me my top 3 quarterbacks in the nation just right now, I'd give you Cade Klubnik, I'd give you Garrett Nussmeier, and I'd give you Drew Aller. 2 of these guys going head-to-head. Well, who's got the better supporting cast? Let's look at receivers. For Clemson, TJ Moore, Bryant Wesco, Antonio Williams. I know that some people don't really know the names as well, but that's the best receiving core in college football. I promise you. All 3 of those guys are going to be making plays on Sundays, and as a group, not as names, as a group, that's the best receiving core in college football. But LSU brings some guys to the table. Aaron Anderson is the highlighter out of that group. That's a guy. And what I think you see with LSU a little more on their receiving core is they got depth. You know, Chris Hilton, Xavier Thomas, Barryon Brown transfers in from Kentucky. Nick Anderson returns off injury, just transferred in from Oklahoma. Kyle Parker. Those are guys, all of those, who really stand out, but took a backseat role just because of how many guys they have. So, that's a very deep team. As far as running the ball, LSU was non-existent last year, and Clemson didn't have a very good run game outside of Cade Klubnik. I think Clemson's offensive line is much better than LSU's. LSU's offensive line really worries me. I'm really scared of that, especially when you let TJ Parker get going, Peter Woods, DeMonte Capehart. That scares me a lot. Will Helt even looks like a guy who's going to take a step. And then letting those guys eat that offensive line, when you have Wade Woodaz and Sammy Brown on your linebacking core, and then Avion Terrell, Ashton Hampton is one of the best cornerback duos, not just in the ACC, in the country. Khalil Barnes is back. Kylan Griffin, both back at safety. That's a very experienced team. Ohio State, on the other hand, I do like them up front. Jack Pyburn transfers in from Florida. You know what you got in him. He's not necessarily a dynamic pass rusher, but he's explosive. He can get to the quarterback. Bernard Goodson transfers in from USF. Dude's really, really good. Coming back, you got Patrick Payton off the outside, Dominique McKinley inside. You know, that's a good front seven. That front seven's so good that they felt comfortable moving Harold Perkins back to the star. Harold Perkins is going to be in coverage. Think about that. That's a dude who'll probably be all over the field. Mansour Delane transfers in the secondary from Virginia Tech, and I honestly think he's their best DB. I'm a little worried about this secondary, not necessarily because of the talent, but because of the short amount of time they've been together going into Death Valley and facing that good of a receiving core and that good of a quarterback with that good of an offensive line. TaMarcus Cooley, NC State transfer, is good. What's he going to be in the SEC? A.J. Halsey's one of those guys who's going to be good in whatever conference he plays in. Transfers in from Houston. That's just a good football player. Good football players play good football in good football conferences. All right, let's get into some of these matchups. Clemson's elite receiving core versus LSU's new secondary. Just a little bit like I was talking about. In my notes I have, will they be cohesive week 1? LSU historically since after 2019 I should say, starts horrible in week 1 openers. What are they going to be in this game? Can they communicate? Because the secondary is probably on the field, except for offensive line, the position group you have to communicate the most about. Because if you're in cover 2 and you got a guy running a post, you got scissors concept on the outside, which is a post and a corner, but they kind of stack with their route, and then you got smash concept on the outside, which can either be a slot fade corner or a slot fade or a corner and then a hitch. Can you get that? Can you get the communication to make sure that you don't break on the wrong route, especially on the scissors route? Because somebody's going to have to make a decision. I hope I laid that out well enough. I kind of was a little all over the place. But for the people who really know the X's and O's, you'll know what I'm talking about. So, will that be right? Another matchup I'm really looking forward to is a really good LSU defensive line versus an elite Clemson offensive line. There's a difference between really good and elite. Clemson's offensive line is elite, but teams rise to the occasion. Sometimes players don't play as well. Can Clemson's offensive line lean on LSU's defensive line, or can LSU be so dynamic, athletic enough to stop up the run and get to Cade Klubnik? Make Cade Klubnik play off schedule, because he's a good improviser, but when he's off schedule, he makes mistakes. Can they do that? Can LSU sit in coverage and not fear Clemson's run game? Coming into this game, Clemson, Adam Randall, you got David Ezemame back there. I mean, those are all guys who we don't know really anything about. Can Clemson sit back in coverage? Can LSU sit back in coverage? Because if they can, the cohesiveness of that unit back there, the secondary, comes together like glue. Can LSU's offensive line hold up against Clemson's elite pass rush? Like I named before, Peter Woods, T.J. Parker, DeMonte Capehart, Will Helt. That's an elite pass rush. I don't think they can. I don't think they can at all. Can LSU run the ball? Take pressure off of Garrett Nussmeier, especially on third down. People like to point at Garrett Nussmeier and give him the turnover prone term. Put that on him. But when it's 3rd and 8 and 3rd and 12 all the time, of course the quarterback's going to try and force something. He's going to make some mistakes. I think if you give him more plays on schedule and you're in 3rd and short, 3rd and 3s, 3rd and 2s more often, the turnovers start to go away. Can that happen in this game? Well, let's get into a little bit of the game, the preview. The spread is Clemson minus 4.5. That number has risen. It was LSU minus 3.5. Money's come in on Clemson. Clemson minus 182 money line. LSU plus 150, and the over/under is 57.5. Going into my impact players on offense for LSU, I got Garrett Nussmeier at quarterback, obviously, Aaron Anders at receiver, and Cade Durham at running back. Moving on to Clemson. Quarterback, I got Cade Klubnik, obviously, Bryant Wesco at receiver, and Antonio Williams at receiver. That's how good that receiving core. And honestly, if I didn't do just 3, I would have put TJ Moore there as my other impact player. Defensively, LSU moving Harold Perkins to the star position. He's still my most impactful player on their defense. Whit Weeks at linebacker. Whit and Wes Weeks is one of the best linebacking duos in college football, and to be able to do it with your brother is awesome. And then Mansour Delane, cornerback transfer from Virginia Tech. For Clemson, obviously T.J. Parker might be the best edge rusher in college football. Sammy Brown, him and Wade Woodaz together are a great linebacking duo, but I only had room for one of them, and I put Sammy Brown. And then Avion Terrell, great cornerback. It's one of the best cornerback duos on here with Ashton Hampton, but I had to pick one. If I had to take one, I'd take Avion Terrell. All right. If you can't tell, my pick is Clemson. I think this game's very highly contested, but I think Clemson pulls away. I think they win the game, and I think they probably close the game or ice the game with their last offensive drive. They probably score a touchdown while they're up by like 2 or 3 points to end. Kind of like the Ohio State-Texas game. I think it ends up being a 2-possession game, in quotes. But I think on the field, it's really going to be a close game, 3 or 4 points. I don't think this game is, as you watch it, going to seem like anything more than a 1-possession football game. The reason I'm taking Clemson is because really they're more of a complete team. And they've been together for a while now, so they should be clicking early already into week 1. Now, my one contest to that is if LSU's offensive line plays well, LSU offensively can be effective enough to win this game. That's the key. What does the offensive line do? If the offensive line pass blocks well, Garrett Nussmeier can deliver the ball. If they can get to the second level off their duo blocks, off their double teams, can they get to the second level and block Wade Woodaz and Sammy Brown? If they can, and you get K. Durham going, you take some pressure off of Garrett Nussmeier. With that being said, I have Clemson to win and Clemson to cover.